Let me ask you something honestly. If someone told you that today, before you sleep, you could secure a home in Jannah, would you ignore it? People spend their entire lives chasing property in this world. They calculate loans, they plan careers, they sacrifice comfort. But what if I told you some of the homes in Jannah are built in minutes and not by wealth, not by status, but by specific deeds the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam guaranteed. In this video, we are not speaking about dreams. We are not speaking about imagination. We are speaking about 10 authentic actions that literally build houses for you in Jannah. Some of them you can do tonight. Some of them take less than 5 minutes. Some of them require patience, character, consistency. But every single one of them carries a promise. And here is something you need to think about. Every single day, you are building something. Either you are building a future here, or you are building your forever there. If you miss this reminder, you might continue doing good deeds, but you might miss the ones that come with a guaranteed house attached. Imagine meeting Allah and realizing you could have built 10 homes, but you simply did not know. Tonight we fix that. Tonight you walk away knowing exactly what builds you property in Jannah. And maybe before this Ramadan ends, you will have already started building your neighborhood there. Now let us begin. Let us begin with the first deed. The one that sounds big, but carries a promise so clear. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man bana lillahi masjidan, bana lillahu lahu baytan fi lil jannah." Whoever builds a masjid for Allah, Allah builds for him a house in paradise. Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. Pause with that promise. You build for Allah here, Allah builds for you there. And understand something. Allah does not need buildings. His kingdom does not increase because you donate. But your eternal home increases because you do. Now maybe you are thinking, I cannot build an entire masjid. That is for wealthy people. That is for large donors. But look carefully at the wording. Whoever builds a masjid for Allah, scholars explained this includes participation. Even a share, even a brick, even helping establish a place where people pray, even supporting rent for a prayer space, even contributing to a Quran class, even placing a prayer mat in a workplace. The reward follows sincerity, not size. And this deed teaches something powerful. When you build Allah's house in this world, you are saying, Ya Allah, I prioritize your worship. So Allah responds with generosity. He gives you something far greater, not a temporary structure, not something that ages, a home in Jannah. And think about this practically. How many years do people save for one house? 10 years? 20 years? Here, one act of contribution, and the King of all kings promises you property in eternity. Is that not the greatest investment? The beauty of this deed is that it connects dunya and akhirah. You build something people pray in, and every sajda made there, every tear shed there, every Quran recited there becomes part of your structure in Jannah. This is not symbolic language. The Prophet ﷺ spoke about a house, real walls, real space, real reward. So ask yourself tonight, is there a masjid being built? Is there a prayer space struggling? Is there a community trying to establish worship? Maybe your name will not be on a plaque. Maybe no one will know, but Allah will know. And somewhere in Jannah, construction will begin because you chose to build for Him first. Now let us move to something even more powerful. Something that does not require money, does not require public recognition, does not require a campaign. It only requires you and your prayer mat. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there is no Muslim servant who prays 12 voluntary rak'ahs every day, apart from the obligatory prayers, except that Allah builds for him a house in paradise. Sahih Muslim. Every day, 12 rak'ahs. And Allah builds a house for you. Let that sink in. Not once in a lifetime. Not once in Ramadan. Every single day you maintain them. Now, what are these 12? The most consistent ones the Prophet ﷺ prayed were 2 before Fajr, 4 before Dhuhr, 2 after Dhuhr, 2 after Maghrib, 2 after Isha. That is it. And notice something beautiful. Most of these were prayed at home, meaning your quiet private worship becomes a private palace in Jannah. Sometimes we say we are too busy. Work is heavy. Schedules are tight. We barely manage the fard prayers. But think about this differently. If someone told you, every day you show up for 15 extra minutes, you earn property that never ends, would you still say you are too busy? We spend hours scrolling, hours watching, hours planning worldly upgrades. But 12 rak'ahs builds something eternal. And here is something even more powerful. If you maintain this for 1 year, 365 days, that is 365 homes. And Allah's generosity is not limited by your math. This deed transforms ordinary days into construction days. Every dhuhr break becomes an investment. Every maghrib pause becomes structure. Every quiet moment before Fajr becomes foundation. The beauty is in the consistency, because Allah loves what is small and continuous. So ask yourself, what if from tonight you never let a day pass without these 12? By the time you reach the end of Ramadan, how many homes could already be standing, waiting for you? Now let us come to something that almost feels unbelievable. A deed that takes only minutes, no money, no long standing, no exhaustion, just your tongue and sincerity. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man qara'a qul huwa Allah ahada ashara marrat bana Allahu lahu baytan fil jannah." Whoever recites Surah Al-Ikhlas 10 times, Allah builds for him a house in paradise. 10 times. This surah is not long. You can recite it in seconds. And yet it carries weight that is immense, because it summarizes the foundation of Jannah itself. It speaks about Tawheed, about Allah being one, about Him being independent, about Him not having equal. When you repeat it, you are not just reciting words. You are affirming the core of your faith. And Allah responds by building you a house. Think about the mercy in that. Some people think building Jannah requires extraordinary acts. But here is a deed that can be done while driving, while waiting, before sleep, after prayer, 10 times. And a home is built. And notice something beautiful. The hadith does not restrict it to once per lifetime. It does not say once per day. If you recite it 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, who can limit Allah's generosity? Imagine finishing your salah, and before getting up, you quietly recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 10 times. Construction begins. Imagine making it a habit every morning. Imagine adding it every evening. Small habit, massive result. And here is the deeper lesson. Allah wants your heart attached to Him. And when you attach your heart to Tawheed, He attaches your name to Jannah. Sometimes we underestimate small deeds because they feel simple. But the value of a deed is not in how difficult it feels. It is in how beloved it is to Allah. 10 recitations, minutes of your time, a house in eternity. Tell me honestly, How many minutes have you spent today on things that will never build anything for you? Now let us move to something that happens every single night. Something you already do. You go to sleep. But what if your sleep could build you a home? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught a dua before sleeping. He said that whoever makes wudu lies down on their right side and says, there is no refuge and no escape from you except to you. I believe in your book which you revealed and in your prophet whom you sent. And in one narration, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that for the one who says this sincerely, a house will be built for him in Jannah. Look at the meaning. You say to Allah, there is no refuge from you except to you. So Allah gives you refuge. You say, I entrust my affairs to you. So Allah builds you security. You say, I submit myself to you. So Allah rewards you with shelter that never collapses. And think about this deeply. Sleep is vulnerability. You close your eyes. You lose control. You cannot protect yourself. And in that moment, you declare your trust. You hand yourself back to your Lord. And Allah responds with a home in paradise. Not because you stayed awake all night. Not because you did something dramatic. But because you surrendered. How many nights have you fallen asleep without thinking? How many times have you turned to your phone instead of turning to Allah? What if tonight you add this dua? Just a few extra moments. Wudu, right side. Calm heart and sincere surrender. Every night becomes an opportunity. Every sleep becomes construction. Every rest becomes investment. You go to sleep in this world, and perhaps a palace rises for you in the next. Is that not the most beautiful way to end your day? Now let us step into a place that feels the least spiritual. The marketplace. Noise, distraction, buying, selling, scrolling, competing. It is not where people usually remember Allah. And that is exactly why the reward is so massive. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever enters the marketplace and says, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah alone, without partner. To him belongs all dominion and all praise. He gives life and causes death. He is ever living and does not die. In his hand is all good and he has power over all things. The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah will write for him 1 million good deeds, erase 1 million sins, raise him 1 million darajat, and build for him a house in Jannah. Pause there. 1 million sins erased, 1 million good deeds written, 1 million darajat raised, and a house in paradise. For what? For remembering Allah in a place where people usually forget Him. This teaches us something powerful. It is easy to say dhikr in the masjid. It is easy to feel spiritual in the last third of the night. But in the marketplace, where hearts are distracted, where desires are stimulated, where dunya feels loud, if you pause and remember Allah there, it shows sincerity, it shows consciousness. It shows that your heart is not owned by the environment. Think about today. How many times did you open an app? How many times did you scroll through things you did not need? Now, imagine this. Next time you enter a mall, or log into an online store, or even walk into a busy market, before doing anything, you whisper this dhikr. Construction begins. While others are calculating prices, you are calculating eternity. While others are buying temporary things, you are building something permanent. And here is the deeper reflection. What could you possibly buy in that marketplace that is more valuable than a home in Jannah? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So let your tongue move, even in the noisiest places, because sometimes the most powerful deeds are done in the most unexpected environments. Now we move to something deeper. Because Jannah is not only built by what you pray, it is also built by how you behave. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, أنا زعيم ببيت في ربض الجنة لمن ترك المراء وإن كان محقا. I guarantee a house in the outskirts of paradise for the one who leaves arguing, even if he is right. Think about that. You are right. You have evidence. You could win, but you choose silence. You choose peace. You choose Jannah over ego. And the Prophet ﷺ personally guarantees you a home. How many arguments have we won in this dunya? And how many relationships have we lost because of it? Sometimes winning is not victory. Sometimes restraint is victory. Then he said, and I guarantee a house in the middle of paradise for the one who leaves lying even when joking. Even when joking. Even when it is harmless. Even when everyone laughs. Truthfulness is not seasonal. It is a character trait. And Allah builds for the truthful. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, and I guarantee a house in the highest part of paradise for the one who perfects his character. Look at the progression. Outskirts, middle, highest. Character lifts you. You can pray at night. You can fast. But if your character harms people, something is incomplete. Jannah is not only for those who worship intensely. It is for those who treat others beautifully. How do you speak at home? How do you react when angry? How do you behave when tested? Every moment is construction. Every response is a brick. You choose patience instead of anger. A wall rises. You choose honesty instead of convenience. A window opens. You choose mercy instead of revenge. Another room forms. Character is not easy. It requires swallowing pride. It requires self-control. It requires maturity. But it builds homes in the highest places. Ask yourself tonight, is winning an argument worth more than a house in Jannah? Is one joke worth risking elevation? Is ego worth more than eternity? Sometimes the smallest restraint builds the highest structure. Now we come to the highest homes, not just houses, but elevated chambers. Places so beautiful that their inside can be seen from the outside and their outside from the inside. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ described these dwellings and said they are prepared for specific people, for those who feed others, for those who fast consistently, for those who pray at night while people are asleep. Think about that. These are not random deeds. They shape your soul. The one who feeds others, that is gratitude. You recognize your blessings, so you share them. You feed someone hungry. You give when you could have kept. And Allah builds for you. The one who fasts consistently, that is patience. You restrain yourself from what you desire. You discipline your body. You train your nafs. And every day of fasting places distance between you and the fire. The farther from the fire, the higher in Jannah. And then there is the one who stands at night, when the world is asleep, when no one sees, when there is no applause. Tahajjud is private construction. It is where your heart softens, where tears fall, where sincerity deepens. You stand in a quiet room, but something eternal is being built. Tahajjud is the Jannah of the heart, and Allah rewards it with literal Jannah. These are deeds that require sacrifice, not money, not fame, but effort, self-control, connection. They are not glamorous, but they are transformative. And here is the beauty. You do not need to do all of them perfectly. Start with one. Feed someone regularly. Fast beyond Ramadan when you can. Wake up 10 minutes earlier than usual. Every step is construction. Every sacrifice is elevation. And maybe one day You will walk into Jannah and see chambers you never imagined, built quietly through patience, generosity, and secret prayer. The question now is not, do these homes exist? The question is, which one are you building tonight? Now, step back for a moment. Imagine arriving on the day of judgment. Everything you worked for in this dunya, left behind. Your bank account, your titles, your achievements, all of it stays here. And then you are shown something else. Homes, structures, palaces. And you are told, these were built by your deeds. That masjid donation you almost ignored. Those 12 rak'ahs you forced yourself to pray. That surah Ikhlas you repeated when no one noticed. That argument you walked away from. That night you stood quietly while the world slept. Every small moment was not small. Every quiet act was construction. We underestimate our daily choices. We think they disappear, but nothing disappears with Allah. Every deed is either building for you or building against you. You are building something every day. The question is where? In this world or the next? The beauty of these 10 deeds is that they are not impossible. They are accessible. They are within reach. They do not require perfection. They require intention. Imagine committing to just one, not all 10, just one. Maintain it consistently. Let it become part of your identity. By the end of this year, how many structures could already be waiting? And if Ramadan multiplies rewards, how much faster is construction happening right now? This is not about pressure. It is about opportunity. Because the greatest tragedy would not be failing. The greatest tragedy would be not knowing. Now you know, now you choose. What are you building tonight? So let us bring this together. 10 deeds, 10 doors, 10 opportunities to build something that will never collapse. You spend your life building in this world, but the smartest believer builds ahead. You do not need to do everything at once. You do not need to overwhelm yourself. Choose one, just one. Be consistent with it. Because consistency builds neighborhoods in Jannah. And remember, the Prophet Muhammad